Yo! It's Floppish back. And in today's video, we are going to cover 6 super useful tips for if you are in the second C. If you are still in the first C, I recommend you check out my video about the first C. Also, I rarely say this in my videos, but please subscribe if you like my content. But without further ado, I'm not going to waste any more of your time, and let's get into tip number 1. This tip is crucial if you want to grind quickly and efficiently. In order to get the right setup, you will need a lot of money and patience. But here's what you need. Firstly, you are going to need the Buddha fruit. You can get it either from spinning, or waiting for it, and buying it from the Blox fruit dealer for 1.2 million pelli. After that, you are going to buy a fighting style, because you are going to rely on your fighting style to do damage. I recommend buying Water Kung Fu, or Electric Fighting Style, which cost 500,000 and 750,000 pelli respectively. You can buy them at the Hot and Cold Island. After that, you need to reset your stats. You should use a stat reset code to help with it. Next, you should dump all of your stats on melee and defense, and put 70% of your stat points on melee, and 30% on defense. There is one more thing. You will need to complete your setup though. You will need to awaken the first move of the Buddha fruit, aka the transformation. There are many ways to do this, such as asking people in your server for help, or just asking your friends to help. That is the end for tip number 1. Now we shall move on to tip number 2. If you already have Buddha and a fighting style equipped, then I recommend using your money to spin fruits. I mean, you have heaps of spare money lying around, so why not? Because, when you spin fruits, you will build up your inventory, and you will have a chance of getting a good fruit, which is super useful for so many things. If you've built up a respectable inventory, you can trade it for a game pass, and even a permanent fruit, without spending a single dime. You can use your fruits to buy a raid carry as well, but you will need Discord, and you will have to join a Blox fruit Discord server. But for example, if you need your Buddha fruit to be awakened, you can just pay someone to do the raid for you. I recommend you DM someone with a lot of vouchers so they have a low chance of scamming you. After that, you can just sit back and relax. When the raid finishes, you can just awaken your fruit, easy as that. And you can do all of that if you kept on spinning, and you eventually spin a good fruit. And there is a rumor that if you spin in the second and third C, there is a significantly higher chance of you getting a good fruit rather than spinning in the first C. I think this is true, but I may be wrong though. But that is enough yapping. Let's move on to tip number 3. You might be wondering why this method is on here. But the reason why it's on here is because the people who do nothing but grind in Blox fruits will often quit the game for a very long time. But unlike the first C, you can do so many more things than just grinding. You can do quests, such as the Bartillo quest, Cyborg quest, or even the Race V2v3 quest, which I will go in more depth later on. You can start trading as well, and make a lot of fruits from doing it. You can also explore the seas and try sea beast hunting, which can give a lot of money and useful items like the Fist of Darkness. Or you can just touch some grass, but I'm getting too off track. I'm not saying that you shouldn't grind at all. I'm just saying that there's a fine line between grinding for a good amount of levels each day, and grinding too much, to the point that you quit for months on end. But let's move on to tip number 4. If you aren't doing this tip, then you are definitely missing out. You can make heaps of extra money, fragments, and fruits on the side, which will be super useful later on. An example of an event is the factory raid, Darkbeard boss fight, raids, and lore raids. These events can happen at any time, but the best way to know when they are happening is by reading the chat. For example, when a factory raid is happening, it will say, "We are breaching the factory in 30 seconds" in the chat. And if you want to know when the Darkbeard boss is about to spawn, it will say the power of darkness has been unleashed in chat. Unlike the factory and Darkbeard boss, raids and lore raids don't have an event message. Instead, a player will most likely say it in chat when they are hosting a raid or a lore raid. You should definitely join up and do the raids, because the rewards will be worth it. Speaking of rewards, I will start with the rewards of doing the factory raid. You will get 65 to 85,000 pelli guaranteed, and you'll have a chance of getting the Acidum rifle. And if you've done the most damage in the factory raid, you will get a Blox fruit, and the chances of getting a good fruit are much better than spinning for a fruit. But we'll move on to the Darkbeard boss rewards. you will get 50,000 peli, 3 levels, 1,500 fragments, a dark fragment, and a chance of getting the dark coat. Next we'll move on to the raids. For raids, you will get 50,000 peli and 1,000 fragments when you complete a raid. If you own a raid service business, you can also make fruits from this method. Last but not least, we'll cover the rewards of the lore raid. For lore raids, you will get 40,000 peli, 3 levels, and most importantly you will have a chance of getting the core brain, which is needed for unlocking the cyborg race. Overall, if you see an event happening in chat, then don't sleep over it, because you will be missing out on so many free rewards, like fruits, money, and fragments, for example. But let's move on to tip number 5. Using the right race is a huge bonus in the second C. If you're a Buddha user and not maxed yet, then I recommend you use Ghoul or Rabbit Race. Rabbit Race will boost a player's overall speed, which is super useful for Buddha users. While Ghoul Race can also boost a player's speed, as long as it's nighttime. The Ghoul Race also has Life Leech, which gives you health when you hit something. Now I will be showing you how to obtain these races. We'll start with the Rabbit Race. In order to get this race, you will need 3,000 fragments, and you will need to go to the cafe. After that you talk to this NPC called Tort, and you reroll your race until you get Rabbit. In order to get the Ghoul Race, you have to be over level 1000, and you will need 100 ectoplasm, which can be obtained by killing NPCs in the cursed ship. Next you will need the Hellfire Torch, which has a chance of being obtained by killing the cursed Captain Raid boss. After getting the torch, just talk to the Experiment NPC and ask him to switch to the Ghoul Race. You can also upgrade your race to the V2 and V3 versions, but I won't be talking about that, since I would be yapping for 2 minutes straight about it. Let's be real. But let's move on to tip number 6. This one is pretty self-explanatory, as I've already explained it in my last video. But all you need to do is to turn on your hotkeys while grinding, because it will save you heaps of time trying to max it out when you're already maxed, and the maxed versions of both hotkeys are pretty OP, but since I didn't explain how to get the hotkeys, I will show it to you now. Firstly, to get the Aura hotkey, you will need 25,000 peli, and all you have to do is go under this cave at the Winter Island and talk to the NPC. In order to get the Observation hotkey, you will need to complete the Saber quest, and you will need 700,000 peli. After that just go to this temple at the Sky Island, and unlock the Observation hotkey, and start leveling it up before it's too late. But that is all for this tip. Finally, we have reached the end of this video. I'm running out of ideas, so please comment some ideas. But make sure to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. You can comment something simple, like, yo. But anyways, later boys, Floppish out.